Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the classic world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. We've talked at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same, so listener discretion is advised. Now, let's walk the Path of Night. Last time on Path of Night, at Wynn's Haven, Kabir is badly injured by the elder gangrel Raven. The coterie manages to save Kabir from final death, and Wynn speaks to Raven about the Codex and about the demon amidst the coterie. Together, the gangrel make a tenuous deal that Wynn will see to it that the demon is handled, or Raven will. The coterie then investigates the disappearance of Jane. Johnny leads the group to her haven, from which Neil is able to track Jane's current location. There, the group finds mysterious protections, a strange assortment of familiar mortals, and Jane, staked. The coterie attempts to talk it out, but ultimately decides to give the mortals some time, in hopes that they won't have to escalate to more extreme measures.
Wynn and Neil had to Wynn's Haven to pick up little Joey. And it's honestly a pretty quick ordeal. He's pretty ready to cooperate with anything you request. So he hops in, and the two of you make your way back. The trip is actually pretty quiet. The only thing that really kind of catches your attention is in the direction of the tray. There's kind of like a ton of activity, and you hear like the rapport of like a gunshot. But you make it to Britta's Haven unaccosted. Upon entering, the haven is still quite secure, but there is this energy to it. The place feels haunted by the stress of your coterie and the weight of everything that's resting on their shoulders.
Britta, is it alright if Joey has a look around?
Sure, but maybe just warn him that, I don't know, that there might be another person here.
Who else is here?
I'm not sure how any of it really works with Romeo or...
Oh, well, wait, I'm sorry, it's been a really busy couple of weeks. Romeo's here?
I haven't seen or felt him any time recently that I think. There was that time a while back where everything was cold and it kind of felt like there was... Yeah, like he was here.
Johnny is stomping back and forth, quickly smoking through a Morley. You look over to one of the side tables and see that it is filled with butts, and there's already a crushed up pack that he's ripped through, and it looks like he's probably halfway through his second pack at least. Do you guys run any trouble out there?
No. None.
All right. The Jane thing did not go as smoothly as I'd hoped.
Oh, you think?
I did hope to have her back, and it has evolved into something else.
Oh, we just need to give them a little bit of time. I mean, Johnny, you left a note, right? So we'll give them some time. I mean, your daughter Ramirez seemed like a reasonable guy. Didn't freak out when we were covered in blood that one time. Too badly.
We have so many other things that we need to focus on, so if we can give them a bit more time and focus on any of the other things that we gotta move to, that's fine.
This doesn't make any goddamn sense, though. I mean, you hear stories about hunters, like maybe one crazy, gun nut who gets a little bit too paranoid about things, but it's usually like one, maybe two at best, but we have...
religious folk.
Right. But this, I mean, there was, 5 of them? And they're all people that we know. That someone had to be tipping us off. This was Reese. I fucking know it.
Whoa.
That little Tremere shithead probably, did something with his magic. No, I'm gonna rip his throat out.
Johnny. Like, remember, I looked at your daughter, and nobody's pulling her strings. Nobody is. So, yeah, they're all connected to us, sort of, somehow.
But he knows that you can do that. So maybe he cast some kind of counter magic to make it so that you wouldn't think that there were strings.
No, there's always a possibility, but
There's a possibility. You just said it.
Well, there's also a possibility that this is all random happenstance, and that there is no actual connection, or that they're not even connected to us. Like,
You really think this is random? Think about the people. They're humans that we have had very strong connections with.
Yeah, but okay, so
it just doesn't happen like this.
But Johnny, Suarez and Joey's mom have a strong connection to one another through Joey being dead. Suarez was the detective looking into the case,
and Joey died because of Vito, basically.
Yeah,
right.
Because of one of the manifestations of that damn house.
Of the thing at the house at the Zantosa house.
Yeah.
Right? So it might not be us. I mean, we all went to the house, and maybe everyone who goes to the house gets tainted somehow.
My daughter? She didn't go to the house.
We don't know what she's been up to looking for you, Johnny.
That's true. She's connected to you, and you went to the house.
She was kidnapped because of Vito.
That's true.
Then let's go burn the house down or something. I gotta do something. I'm going out of my mind.
Well, no, Jane and all those people are in that house.
I think you meant the other house.
I mean Vito's house.
Yeah, Vito, to be totally fair, Vito did seem to think that, like, and, you know, crazy zealot or not, he seemed to think that, you know, burning the house down wouldn't actually solve it. Raven sort of gave the same impression. Yeah. I mean, if you could just burn the house down and solve the problem, then I think she would have burned the house down. I feel like it would have
been done.
If we burn that place, it's like I thought before, I think that it could spread whatever's in there further.
Look at the mushrooms around my house where we burned the weeping bear.
That's true. We burned the weeping bear. And what is that? We do need to look into that.
We need to look into it, but that's so far down on the list.
Here's a weird question, right? And maybe this is, you know, insane. Do you think Vito knows the answer to those questions?
I think Vito probably has a more accurate theory than we do, but I think it's still just a theory.
Well, he's also, again, like a crazy religious...
On the chance that he doesn't, I don't want to tip him off about these people.
No, I don't want to ask him about those people at all. Vito's the kind of person to do weird stuff to them.
Yeah.
Regardless, they are a new force. They are not anything I have ever heard or dealt with, and it's seemingly nothing that any of us have.
The raw willpower and destined determination coming off of Johnny's daughter was almost overwhelming.
From what you said and what I heard, they called us sick. Like a thing to be cured.
They know something's off about us, but they don't know what it is.
Johnny stabs out his Morley, pulls out another one, and proceeds to immediately light it up.
So we're going to give them at least a night, but we cannot let them hold Jane too long. We can't.
What are we going to do about it? We can't get in that house. We need them to give her to us.
We can't get in the house.
There's other things we will need to test.
Can we do that without people getting killed?
I hope so.
I don't want anyone there to get killed, but honestly, Jane's my priority.
Do these people have jobs? I mean, Suarez got, fired, let go, quit?
Unsure.
I think Joey's mom is a teacher.
Could we check if that's still true? I mean, we know that Sheila wasn't working at the bar anymore, and, Suarez and everything.
Ramirez is a taxi driver, so
he's part of the cabbies union, right?
But, I mean, in theory, he could always be claimed to be working.
That's true.
My daughter, I don't know what she's been doing with her money recently.
I'm going to make some phone calls. We have some other things to focus on. We are giving them the night, but we need to start looking at other options.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we all have things we're supposed to be looking into.
Miles, remind me what I'm supposed to be doing. It's been...
I believe you were looking into trying to locate either Sabat or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay, I can start putting some feelers out.
Miles, you and I need to have words at some point.
Do you want that before or after my phone call?
It really doesn't matter to me. I don't think a minute or an hour is going to change what I have to say.
All right.
Words makes that sound ominous. Should we be in the room for this or no?
It sounded like a private conversation.
It's going to be up to Miles whether he wants to disclose this to the rest of you.
Then we can make ourselves sparse for a while.
Yeah, I mean, we got stuff we got to do.
I need to get another pack of Morleys. Johnny just heads right out.
Hey, buddy,
you hear the door
wait.
jingle.
I'll go with him, all right?
You both can. We can stick together that
Actually,
way.
yeah, if you guys have to have a private conversation, I guess we'll...
See ya. And Britta runs out, too.
Neil runs out after Britta. We're not supposed to be splitting up like this. And falls out after Johnny, leaving Wynn and Miles alone.
I move to the counter and remove my katana and gun and put them down. Not in preparation, but just kind of a tiredness.
You want to do this now?
We might as well. Should I? I have no idea what this is about.
So when Raven came to my haven, she knows that members of the coterie made deals with the demon. And she said I have to kill them.
How did she find out about the demon?
Because I told her.
All right.
She knew the demon was there. She knew that the Codex was bound by a demon. With a demon.
How nice of her not to let you know that beforehand.
Regardless, she seems to think it would be a mercy killing.
So did she in the end believe she was going to have to kill you?
No.
Well, how else were you going to get her the Codex?
I don't know. I don't think she expected me to do it right away. Look, I'm telling you this because... Not because I have any inclination to kill you, but because if you get too wrapped up in this, I don't know that I can let you go on.
It is not my intention to use the demon.
Demons, temptation is their thing, man.
So we all believe it's a matter of time?
All? No.
Well,
Raven's been alive a very long time. She's seen what demons do to people.
But I also see scenarios where this may be the only card we have to play. What do you want to do at that point?
A lot of that's going to depend on the situation, man. I've never been in this situation before. I hope I'm never in it again.
So there's no hard line on this right now. For you, at least.
If Raven comes back and you're still alive, she's probably going to take matters into her own hands.
Well, from everything that I've heard, it wouldn't be the only person gunning for me.
And I would, in all likelihood, put myself between you and her. But I felt like you needed to know that you are probably in danger from this. She doesn't know it's you.
I mean, so instead she may discriminately slaughter whoever she suspects.
Yeah. In a misguided attempt at mercy.
Also, quite possibly freeing the demon.
I would put my trust in Raven to be able to do something more productive with the demon than house it.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either, man, but
I do appreciate it.
I didn't want to keep this a secret from you and then all of a sudden have...
Raven show up.
Yeah.
It's tough. She's one of the more difficult people to prepare for.
And I think ultimately, she is still our ally. Misguided though it may be.
All right. Well,
I'm going to go make sure Joey's not messing up the place too bad. You make your phone calls. Give me a shout if you need to.
I appreciate it, Wynn.
Not a problem, man.
And you. I know that, of all things, it's not always been the most fun time that you would have imagined.
Fun's a relative term.
Never mind. I guess maybe you have been having some fun with it. You have any other thoughts that you would like to discuss with no other people around at this point?
I can't think of anything. Are you okay?
It's becoming increasingly hard to see which side of the line I should be on here.
We're basically a pentagram right now of intersecting lines, and we're being hemmed into smaller and smaller areas.
We're going to have to pick up poison soon enough.
Yup. My only goal is that all of us stay together.
I guess I should also inform you that, while not officially, Rollins has essentially given you permission to have childer.
Okay.
It came up casually in a conversation at one point.
I mean, I could make him regret that real fast, but that would saddle me and us with a lot of responsibility. And honestly, I think Britta still needs us a little too much for me to be going and taking on another childer.
I think he doesn't like the change that has happened recently, and the lack of gangrel in and around the court has further made him upset. So he would like to change that back to the way it was before.
Okay, so here's a question.
Sure.
Will that help settle him more?
I don't think this
more gangrel in the area.
I mean, this is... I don't think this is really going to change his general demeanor or mind. You've met the man.
Not regarding gangrel. He is never going to change his stripes on that one.
Right. I just meant in general.
I mean, like, recently with his newfound mania, is it going to help that go away to have more gangrel in the area?
I don't know. I don't know the extent or how strong the attack that has been put upon him, so it's divertible, but he's erratic at best.
If you can find out,
sure,
I'll see what I can do. But
I figured just in case you should know, but it hasn't, I don't know if it's anything official. Anyways.
You're Seneschal, you're telling me, so.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget.
Yeah, you've been through a lot in the past few nights.
So to answer the question, no, I'm probably not okay, but that's not going to change anytime soon.
What can I do?
Interview about 50 or 60 ghouls. Nothing really. I need somebody to pick up the slack at the life that he used to fill in for, and it's a lot. It is.
Is this the first big loss you've ever had?
I guess if you in terms of people I'm connected to, but I've been generally avoiding those kind of connections. They're exploitable. They're originally you were all supposed to be like contractors. You each had a specialty, a thing that you did well. That's why I picked you. Unfortunately, it came to like you people. And that's the real rub of it, I guess. And I'm extremely protective of the people that have done well by me and I care for. And this has made it difficult at times.
I get that.
So, he was the first thing that I brought with me, and probably the only thing I really brought with me from my previous life. And he is now gone.
It's a hell of a thing having this person-shaped hole in your life.
It's a lot of things. It is quite possibly the end of the person that I was before a vampire.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't engage with my family after I was turned, but I kept watch on the newspaper for obituaries, and I remember reading when my dad died. And it was almost a relief that I wasn't hiding anymore. But it meant that part of my life was over, and I was still moving.
For all intents and purposes, my parents are still alive, and how I get a good chunk of my money still, but I've changed the things that they remember. So they don't necessarily know I exist in the same factor of form. It's one of the ways I could keep my security.
That had to be a really hard choice, Miles.
For some parts of it. We were never entirely very close.
Well, the thing with family is that it evolves over time. And I think it's at a crossroads right now. So if there's anything I can do to make crossing that threshold a little easier, let me know.
Yeah, well, we have a couple different things, so anything you can put your mind to. It looks like a combination of either the Sabbat, Vito, whatever these new hunters are.
They're just humans, man. That's the part that gets me. They're just people. People who have had bad shit happen to them.
People can't block somebody from entering their house.
I wouldn't have thought that.
So they're a new force. I don't know if there's some sort of, will shapers or something like that. Some sort of magic I'm unfamiliar with.
There are human magicians.
I'm sorry, what?
Talk for another time.
Great.
Nothing you need to worry about right now.
Anyways. Alright. Well, you go look after Joey. I'm going to make my phone call.
Alright. Enjoy.
While the conversation happens inside, Johnny storms out of Britta's haven and very soon after finds himself tailed by members of his coterie, both Britta and Neil. As the two of you are kind of walking through downtown New Haven. Three of you are walking through downtown New Haven. Johnny, where do you go?
Johnny flicks out the butt of the cigarette that he was finishing off and pulls out the very last Morley from his pack, crumples it up, and just tosses it on the side of the road. Pops in his mouth, lights it up. He sees a small little convenience store where he could absolutely buy a pack of Morleys, but he finds himself just keep on walking. He's got so much energy built up that he needs this to just be a longer walk than just to where he can absolutely get a pack of cigarettes for himself and then turn right back. And he, in the back of his head, kind of thinks maybe Miles and Wynn could probably use some time away from him because he realizes he's being a little much for everybody right now.
Britta had dodged out of the conversation at the Haven to make sure that Johnny wasn't alone, and had that stop by the doorway of bunny hopping into her heels. You know, when you have to put the buckle on and it doesn't want to go because you're in a hurry. By the time that she kind of jogs out to try and find Johnny, I assume Neil is probably caught up.
Yeah, Neil doesn't have to bunny hop to put loafers on, so he is already, just sort of hustling up. He almost looks out of breath, even though that's not a thing. Hey,
Jenny kind of looks back at Neil, gives a quick, I don't like the cigarettes at that store. There's a smoke shop that has the good ones.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. Hey man, you're not supposed to go anywhere without a buddy. Like, we just talked about that.
Sorry, I forgot.
That's okay. Britta and I, well, Britta did, and then I followed afterwards. But, yeah. Got anything on your mind you want to talk about?
I got a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
Do I want to talk about it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess that was more of the tenure of the question.
Would talking about any of it help?
He stops, lowers his head, and kind of looks like he's looking to crack his neck. What are we dealing with? I know you were kind of just shooting down what I was saying, that this could just be a random occurrence, or maybe it's due to the house. It's certainly not Reese. At least you don't think.
It's not Reese.
But there's a will behind her. Maybe no strings, but a will that's capable of so much more than you've seen. What does that mean? That's not random.
Johnny, I don't want this to come across as flip, so please don't take this as flippant, but you have a will behind you. I mean, all of us, we're all kindred. We're all tied to things bigger than ourselves. But if you weren't kindred, put yourself, I guess, in your daughter's shoes. If you weren't kindred, but you found out about us, and you didn't have the context, you only saw, I guess, the people who sneak into houses or pull people into alleys and feed on their blood. You knew nothing else. And you knew that no one would believe you if you told them, because, we work really hard to make sure that no one believes anyone when things go bump in the night. And you thought it had taken a member of your family. What would you do?
You know what I would do. But answer me this, and be brutally honest with me. That will that you saw in her, is it the same kind of will that I have, or is it something else? Is it just a familial recognition, or are you seeing something else in her?
I think one can inform the other.
Don't double talk.
I don't know how not to right now, because I don't know the answer. Like I say to you guys all the time, I don't know an objective answer here,
But you know there weren't strings attached to her.
Not in a way that I understood or could see.
When I hear things like that, my mind starts racing, and I try to figure out things that I can solve. I'm not good at solving things other than beating the hell out of them.
So it's kind of funny you mentioned that. You're going through a lot, and you want to solve some problems, but you solve problems by cracking skulls. That's not. I'm not trying to stereotype. That's literally what you just said, right?
More often than not, doesn't solve things, but yeah, that's what I try. That's the only way I know how to do it.
Wynn is having a tough time. Right. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. And Miles is, I mean, my God, let alone the things inside of him right now, just everything that's been taken away and everything that's on his shoulders. And Neil kind of looks over at Britta, sort of like trying to gauge whether or not she's like in support of what he's saying.
Neil can see that she's running her fingernail over where the crescent tattoo is at the list beneath the glove. But she does not look as if she wants to stop him talking. It's just an unconscious gesture.
I got it. We're all going through some heavy shit, and I need to cool my heels, because I'm not the only one. What's your point?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you need to cool off because everyone's got shit. What I'm saying is that this coterie needs a win, Johnny. An unequivocal problem that we can try and solve. And we got a couple in front of us, and maybe that means putting some stuff on the back burner because we don't know how to handle it and we don't know what we're doing. Hopefully, Miles, I don't know, with the Setites, that's too complicated right now.
Johnny takes an aggressive step into your personal space and jabs a finger into your chest. Then do your job, look at those damn patterns, and tell me what to punch. Because if you keep on asking me how we gonna win, I'm gonna hit you.
I'm not asking you, Johnny. I'm telling you that that's what we're going to do.
Where?
I don't know yet, but I will soon. And whether or not it's, I don't know, we deal with Vito, or whether we start making, Pendragon-style guerrilla strikes on the killing spree. I mean, all these complicated problems go away if we all die, right? So, or we just feel better because we're actually solving some problems.
Don't talk me through it. Pick one and tell me it's the right way to go.
Neil looks over at Britta again. Not like he can't make a decision, but trying to gauge where the person more connected to Vito seems to feel.
Britta's just looking at Neil to hear his answer. She is not viewing herself as a reference at this point. And you can see in her posture that there's she's got like a shoulder tilted in towards the confrontation in preparation for if it were to escalate. But she seems to feel that the two of you voicing your opinions is the right path forward.
Seeing absolutely no help when he looks over at Britta, he looks back at Johnny.
Johnny is taking a long drag on his Morley, almost finishing it off, and his eyes are blazing into you.
Answer me a question, Johnny, if you can.
But while watching them kind of go back and forth, can I get a perception plus alertness?
Yep. It's a wash. Unless the difficulty, what's the difficulty?
A 6.
It's a wash.
Okay. Carry on.
Oh, no.
Okay, Johnny, answer me this question. How well do you have anything, and answer honest, because I don't know the answer to this. Do you have anything of your sires or that woman who was running around with him, the one who cut me, or anyone in that pack? Do you have anything of theirs, or how well do you know their faces? Would you let me pull their faces out of your brain?
I remember every angle and detail of their faces.
So, I know you're uncomfortable with the things that I've learned.
Ask the question.
Just a second, and he looks over at Britta. Britta, I saw you with a bunch of notepads and, pens and stuff. Have you been practicing drawing or anything like that? Can you draw?
Yeah, I mean, I get this feeling like I don't know, like there's something to be found there, but that's for something later. Yes, I think I could draw.
Okay. If I pull a face out of Johnny's brain and put it in your head, could you draw it to a reasonable likeness? Can you draw Johnny's thoughts?
I would think I could.
Okay.
Why?
I know, and he looks back at Johnny, that you're uncomfortable with the kinds of things that I can do, the kinds of things that I've been learning, but there's a ritual. One where if I take an object or a likeness, it's grotesque, and I would need your help. But it would help us hunt them in the same way that the web of knives was hunting me. But I need you to be okay with every step of it.
At the mention of web of knives, I'd like to look around in paranoia.
Are you using heightened senses?
Yeah.
Okay, it's +1 difficulty for the already failed perception plus alertness check.
Yep.
But you may now apply your Auspex modifier to the roll.
Mm-hmm.
Danger sense is tingling.
It's super not. It's just we just had
You just said it is.
Oh, well, okay. Paranoia, danger sense. I would personally argue those are different things.
We'll see.
That depends on if someone's here.
So I'm not rolling anything extra for Auspex, right? That's just
What's your Auspex rating?
I have 2.
So you're at difficulty 5.
Okay.
It goes to difficulty 7. Then you apply 2 levels of Auspex, which will then reduce the difficulty by 2 and take you to diff 5.
I am spending a willpower. Okay. With the willpower and a 10, that is 2 successes.
With 2 successes, You find yourself looking around while the two of them are talking, and a lot of the streets seem pretty typical. A car stops at a light, windows are down, you hear like the thrumming bass of nu metal music, and there's like heavy clouds overhead, no stars, bright street lights, and, you know, shops, little restaurants, what have you. And it's the Dunkin' Donuts that actually stands out. Because while you are looking, you see someone else looking. It's two people. One is a very attractive Mexican woman wearing a leather jacket and leaning against the window. She does not seem to be paying a great deal of attention to anything that's going on outside the little Dunkin' Donuts itself. She's just kind of enjoying smoking a cigarette inside the Dunkin' with bloodied hands and like kind of like gross dried blood caked to her like chin and neck. But next to her, far more alert of your presence, is a man who is wearing a black suede mariachi styled like jacket. Even where he's standing, you can kind of like see that he's wearing these like spurred boots. He's got...
Is it the kind that's pointed at the tip?
You're not quite close enough to get a look, but it definitely has your Toreador attention.
Oh, no.
And he's got this, like, very nice black studded gun belt kind of hanging at an angle on his hip. And his hair is, like, long with that kind of 70s feathered look, and he himself has this like constant 5 o'clock shadow, and he is looking at you with a bloodied palm pressed to the window. And when he knows he has your attention, his hand slides down some, smearing the handprint just enough so that you can see the black crescent moon that's on his palm.
Well, this sounds like a lot of bisexual confusion, but also do I have to first roll for that catching my attention as a Toreador?
Yes, you do.
I see that I'm very confused right now.
Bisexual confusion intensifies.
Oh, shit.
What am I rolling?
It's the sexiest Dunkin' Donuts I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, the last one was pretty hot.
You're rolling. You are rolling self-control at a difficulty of 7.
I fucking love Dunkin' Donuts.
To not be staring at the spurs? Or
The
what?
whole look.
thing?
Ensemble.
The whole package.
Yeah, the whole package.
If I fail this roll, do I not see the crescent?
If you fail the roll, you are hypnotized by what you see.
You're hypnotized by the aesthetic.
Yeah, he is, unbeknownst to himself, he's kind of giving you like the creepy vampire vibe, and you are rolling to not be that hypnotized girl who slowly starts making her way, helpless to like the vampires like sway.
Wilds.
His wilds. Yeah, that's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
I am going to spend another willpower.
Yep.
Rolling 3 dice, 4 successes.
Okay.
All right.
It gets you at first, and you're kind of like, huh, and your head starts to tilt to the side, and then you see the crescent moon, and every bit of curiosity like withers away as the stark realization that this person is a Sabbat vampire.
While Britta is standing there trying to think of what to say, Johnny points at Neil and says, "Tell me this will be a win."
Johnny.
This will
not-
absolutely be a
Hey,
What?
Britta is just in a staring contest at this point. But as she is making eye contact with the bloodied handprint and the crescent moon behind it, that steel is in her spine. She's got a very firm control over herself at this moment and how she might have otherwise reacted. But she is just straightened up and ready to go back to back with her coterie as she's looking over at these two individuals in the Dunkin' Donuts. You can follow her sightline.
I think Neil and Johnny both trace where she's looking.
Simultaneous head turns.
You definitely see the two, and kind of like now noticing you with these like full lips, like sharpened with like the lip liner that she always wears and the dark lipstick, you super recognize Carmen.
Both of us do.
You do. You recognize Carmen.
Carmen.
Yes, he does recognize Carmen.
Not the other guy.
Almost subconsciously kind of slides the hand of the crescent behind herself.
Neil slowly, like almost in a trance now, does that Neil fear freeze up that he does when he sees this woman who almost killed him, but slowly pulls his phone out of his pocket and does like the hip camera click. Hey, I don't need to get it out of your head anymore.
Yep. Looks like they found us.
And he folds the phone back up and slides it into his pocket, just completely frozen otherwise.
Johnny stays static for a moment, like squaring off, almost like they're about to have a gun battle, and waits to see if they make the first move.
I want us to get a win, you guys, but unprepared in the street is not how I think we're going to get a win.
Stop hiding behind that stupid little persona of a pawn shop owner. I need a Duron Key sorcerer next to my side right now.
Neil, like, visibly swallows and does not look any braver after Johnny calls him, like, to his side, but slowly with one hand, the same hand that he used on the phone, unzips the fanny pack at his hip and sticks a hand inside.
Britta's eyes are locked onto the crescent on the bloodied window and sort of sliding back up to see if there's any change in the two at the Duncan.
Both of you guys, keep an eye around us. If I know this pack, this is not the only threat.
Johnny, is he showing me that on purpose?
He's getting your attention. Just make sure that there's nothing coming on our flank.
At the warning from Johnny, Neil puts up his heightened senses, which failed him last time, but he's hoping that he can see something.
I don't think this is our moment to stand either. We should get going, but we can't lead them back.
Neil actually sees it right away upon using his heightened senses, and coming out of the alley beside the Dunkin' Donuts, some of them moving on all fours, but all of them with completely eerie body language, is the killing sprees, hunting hounds, the city gangrel that they use. And they, while the two have your attention, the 5 vampires coming out of the alley move together and obfuscate and are slowly making their way towards you, unaware that you can see them.
They're coming.
How many?
Neil whispers out of the corner of his mouth. It was like 6 last time, right? How many is it?
It's not all of them. It's just 5 city gangrel coming out of the alley, and then 1 La Sombra in the restaurant, and 1 Bruja in Titribio.
There's
that's it.
Fuck you. There's 5 of them. There's 5 of them. I can see them. They don't know I can see them yet. But there's 5.
Okay, can we outrun them?
No.
What are our options? Can we fight them?
No. I mean, I think I'm the only one who can see them right now. So there's 5 of them. I don't know.
So let's walk away.
We can start walking, but if they start moving, do we preempt and then run? I can try and talk them into a frenzy, but I don't know what'll happen if we just make them all go nuts on each other.
Do it.
Are you sure?
Now.
Jesus. Okay, but you guys get ready to run. And Neil looks over at the gangrel and just goes, hey guys, you're not as subtle as last time. You guys get that, right? Like that, I don't know, can you even understand me? Like, God, this sucks not knowing. And we'll use Voice of Madness to try and freak them the fuck out.
Okay, go for it.
Alright, so this is diff 7. I'm spending willpower.
Okay.
4 successes, so I will affect 4 out of 5 of those gangrel.
Okay. Let's start with some self-control tests. First one, instinct roll number 1. They frenzy. Instinct roll number 2. They frenzy, but are in control of their actions. 3, frenzy. 4, frenzy and are in control of their actions. So the first thing to be aware of that you may not have known as Neil,
Probably not.
is that they do not attack each other at all. Their supernaturally enforced sense of brotherhood prevents them from being able to pursue each other without expending exorbitant amounts of willpower. So they instead lash out on the crowd.
Oh no.
When this happens, they come out of obfuscate howling and screeching and making completely unnatural noises, and they turn and start raking at claws, windows, and make an attempt to savage any people that they can get a hold of. People who spot them start turning and running immediately. Irritated, Carmen seems forced to direct her attention on her packmates that have gotten out of line. When the violence erupts, the man with the crescent moon on his palm, his hand visibly heats up, and as it starts to glow, the glass starts to melt, and he breaks / ruins the window, kind of shoving this collapsing superheated window out of his way, and it smashes onto the sidewalk. And he steps out with claws starting to manifest, and his body starts to kind of twitch and shift.
Okay. Shit. Let's go. We gotta go. And come on. Please. I didn't. Neil looks horrified at the violence he's wrought.
Anyone who has not seen you guys have not seen this enough. Actually, I'm going to rule that you, Britta
I'm a Sabat survivor.
Yeah, I'm going to rule that Britta and Johnny are okay. I do need a courage test from Neil.
I saw Wynn do it once.
Yeah. And every time you've ever seen it, it was a horrific experience in which your body was warped against your will.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I will spend a willpower on this thing I'm terrible at. What's the difficulty?
You can spend 1 willpower once per round.
Well, then, fuck me. What's the difficulty?
Diff 6.
No.
Would you allow me to have made a leadership check to try and give him a bonus die from the fact that I told him I need a Duran Key sorcerer next to me?
I would allow that, yes.
Neil's all moral compunction, no courage.
1 success.
Neil, roll a die, add it to your total number of successes.
Exactly a 6.
Okay.
1 success.
You do not Rostrek, steeled by Johnny's words.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where
down to run.
Where is my sire headed?
Well, it looks like he's going to be heading to Neil, but he has not quite taken off just yet. Carmen walks over and reaches somewhere behind where the window kind of stops and the wall begins, and pulls a conquistador's sword. The blade itself is slick with red, as though she's probably been partying at the Dunkin' Donuts with it. She yells something, and the brute kind of gives her a nod, ready to chase.
Is that the same sword that's been inside me?
You recognize the sword.
Great.
I'm gonna buy you some time. The two of you get out of here.
No, you're coming too.
Trust me.
Staying.
Trust me. You're gonna need a head start. Now go.
Johnny, we can't.
Johnny's ready to roll initiative.
Roll. They are delayed by the use of transformation powers and being in a chaotic frenzy enough that you guys may bail or roll initiative.
I mean, I made that courage check.
We literally just talked about how we're not going this alone. Fuck you, Johnny.
Yeah.
All right, how do you roll
you don't
initiative?
have celerity. You gotta get out of here, dude.
I'm fully aware.
That's why it's better when you carry him away.
It's actually what I thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
Well, I rolled a 1.
Boy.
I can't do this.
Ooh. The brute is going on a 23.
Jesus. Yeah, I'm going on a 10.
Johnny's going on an 8.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Oh boy.
12 with 2 celerity actions.
Red is going on the same initiative as Carmen. All right. They are going on 8. And we'll cut from you guys for a little while.
Yeah.
While the three are away, the Haven is actually rather quiet. And the two of you, two members of the coterie who have probably conflicted some of the most, are actually kind of in a relaxing situation. You can softly hear the sound of the piano auto-playing as the two of you are together in the lounge. Interestingly, Joey seems to hear the sound of the music and curiously heads off.
Wynn kind of follows just to kind of keep an eye on him. If he decides to manifest and mess things up, she wants to be able to put it back in order.
When you follow Joey, you see he makes his way over to like this like piano lounge space at the Haven. It's actually a pretty sizable place. And there, kind of sitting and softly playing, is the spirit of the kindred you recognize as Romeo. And he kind of like has that like very kind of sharp, smooth haircut. Is very kind of like well put together. The only thing that kind of really stands out are the sections of his chest where claws ripped deeply into him. And he regards Joey with kind of like a very casual smile. And Joey looks at this man nervously at first, but clearly with an expression full of curiosity. And Romeo shifts on the bench and kind of pats on the space next to him. Joey makes his way over and sits down. Romeo asks the boy, and he's like, "Hey, you gonna help me play?" And Joey's like, he looks up at him and says very quietly that he doesn't know how to play the piano and that he never got to learn when he was alive. And he says, he makes reference to having once been alive with this kind of like deeply rooted sense of shame. And Romeo smiles and he says, "I learned the first time that I died that there's a difference between being dead and gone. And while you're still here, you can still learn." And he kind of like takes the kid's hands and like starts walking him through the song that he had been quietly playing before Joey arrived. And the two played the piano together.
Wynn just kind of leans on the doorway. It's not often Joey gets to talk to someone other than her. She knows he's had the experiences with Mr. Perfect, and that's not exactly the kind of relationships she wants him to be fostering. So she just kind of leans on the doorway, and kind of a soft smile crawls across her lips as she watches the older Wraith take the younger one under his wing. And it's weird because she knows that in terms of their Wraith lives, Joey is actually much more experienced than Romeo.
Joey has actually been a Wraith
Joey
longer.
has been a Wraith longer. But maybe because he had been a kindred and had had more years on Earth to process the world, maybe he's very well equipped to process his unlife, his second unlife. And she just kind of watches. She doesn't intrude.
You find yourself hearing one of the same songs that Elsa has performed for the Elysium in the past. This is one of her songs. And you kind of get the impression that there's a good chance that Romeo learned how to play the piano from Elsa and is sort of passing that on to Joey.
Wynn just enjoys the music, and it's probably not the best rendition of the song, considering Joey has never played a piano before. But it's the music, not the song, that she's listening to, if that makes any sense.
Sure does.
Some part of her shoulders relax a little bit. She's normally a little tense when Joey's involved, for myriad of reasons. But there's just this flicker of a thought that if something were to happen to her, he might not be completely alone. And once there's a break in the song, Wynn walks up and kind of crouches by the bench and gives Joey a smile. "That was really good, dude."
Joey kind of like gives this like kind of choked up smile, like he's a little too emotional to kind of like form manly sounding words. So he just kind of like gives this like elated grin.
Some big feelings, man.
I mean, there's like a very fast like teary-eyed nod.
That's okay, buddy. Big feelings are important. And she kind of looks to Romeo with a smile and eyes of thank you.
Romeo seems a little surprised when you address him.
If you ever need anything, Romeo, I'm someone you can turn to.
It's kind of like an awkward but like accepting nod.
Do you need anything?
He holds up his hand, and on it you see a black crescent moon. I need to talk to Britta.
I can help with that.
Thank you.
She's a little busy right now, but we can sure find the time to talk to her.
Yeah, it sounds good. Miles, you are sitting alone in a wide space with many empty seats, an empty martini glass beside you.
I can hear the piano music, and it's both kind of soothing and also very melancholy in a way. And I take a moment to listen to that before everything coming back down, and I reach for the phone to start making the phone calls that I know I need to make.
You pick up the flip phone, open it up. Who are you looking for?
Jan Peterson, my sire.
You pull up his number.
Yeah. Hopefully I can get through to him.
The phone rings for a short period of time, and then there is an answer. Peterson?
Sire?
Miles, how is New Haven?
Right to the heart of it.
That was not the intention, but I suppose if this is the case...
How much do you know about what's going on here?
According to His Grace, things are well in hand.
His Grace has recently suffered an attack from the Malkavian Prince, Quentin.
Careful with that, man.
He's become exceedingly erratic.
I see. And you have things well in hand? Are you controlling things in the meantime, ensuring that there isn't too much blowback?
I would love to say yes to that, but
and be frank, Miles, what is happening?
Reese took the opportunity to push his agenda while the prince was extraordinarily weak. He has taken many shots at my coterie the last week or so. On top of that, between that and the Sabbat attack and a few other things popping up, it is feeling like I am under siege.
What is Reese's agenda? As far as our end is concerned, the Tremere have been extremely cooperative and supportive in our endeavors to mitigate the destruction being caused by the Sabbat.
I'm not entirely sure. He seems put out by my Malkavian. Maybe some sort of fear. He's using a magic that the Tremere doesn't understand. And is...
Excuse me?
Duranki.
Assamite sorcery?
Yes.
Miles, what do you know of the relationship between the Tremere and the Assamites?
Not a lot. They both seem exceedingly dangerous.
When the Tremere first came to be, they did so through problematic means. They don't have proper lineages like you and I, and they stole their vampiric nature. And in doing so, they lost access to the wealth of magic that they once had access to in life. And to rebuild themselves, they turned to preying on the clans that reside in the same region as their homelands, and stole magic wherever they could, twisted their rivals, and eventually built monsters from the corpses of their enemies. The Tremere are besieged by ancient enemies that they earned through their own ruthlessness. Part of this has allowed them to build up hermetic thaumaturgy to where it is now, and part of their practices involve the eradication of anything that they consider a rogue practitioner of thaumaturgy, meaning anyone who practices blood magic without their support, without their teaching, without their permission. Which means that if your coterie mate has been learning magics from Diablerist enemies of the Tremere, of course he's going to do everything in his power to eliminate him.
I'm pretty sure he learned it on his own, but on top of that, Reese has taken actions against myself specifically.
What has he done?
As far as we can tell, he had my ghoul kill himself.
I'm sorry to hear that, Miles.
Thank you.
My condolences.
So, and I have Pendragon out here offering his support too.
Pendragon is a double-edged sword. Of course, I expect you don't need me to explain this.
Right.
But there is still value in such a weapon, if you can keep it at arm's length.
The prince is making that hard. He's also one of the few tools keeping him away, I can tell, but he's becoming trouble to manage without Arabella here to deal with it the way she used to.
There was a rumor that I had received from, actually, Arabella before her betrayal. It indicated that Upton Rollins had dealings with the followers of Set and was quietly trading power to them in exchange for comforts and protections. If that is true, there is a significant threat being posed to the Camarilla as a whole. Within the next few months, once we're done rounding up these princes, myself and a handful of other Archons are going to be transporting displaced princes to New Haven, 12 in all. They are going to attempt to conflict with one another and seize the opportunity to claim a praxis and restore themselves to power. If the prince who leads New Haven is weak, I need an honest conversation. When these 12 princes come, how will Upton fare?
Rollins has an interesting mix that has kept him alive this long. This failure to see the subtleties that is almost a weapon in itself. While he does suffer his shame for it, it never touches him. But his paranoia is out of control, and he's let Reese essentially run rampant, and he's given an ordeal to my Malkavian that is the wishes of the Setites.
How do you think he will fare?
Depends on their strengths. But if they band together with any kind of cohesion, not well. Reese will do what he can, but he's been replaced as Seneschal.
What do you propose? I doubt you've called me because you don't have any ideas.
I have ideas. I'm out of my depths here a little bit. I feel like removing Rollins is a possibility, but it's going to lead for Pendragon moving his way in. He's one of the few things stopping Pendragon from completely coming in. I need Rollins on a tighter leash. If he can be strong if he would just listen, but he refuses.
My concern is this. If Upton Rollins loses control of his praxis, if that happens, then the venture will lose New Haven forever. After being ousted from Hartford, there's going to be a cascading effect, and Pendragon will ultimately seize power anyway. So, we need to create a scenario where there is a prince who is strong enough to lead the domain and not show any signs of weakness to these 12 princes that are arriving. Now, I see two paths towards this. One is an immediate rectification of his behavior. Or, another venture takes praxis. I do not care which it is. And I am so sorry, Miles, that I have placed this great weight upon your shoulders. But I cannot stay on the phone any longer. There is an operation taking place in New York. I expect that if everything goes according to plan, I will be able to speak with you more at length about this in the future. But for now, I must go.
I need one thing.
What do you need?
Do you still need Vito? The Zentosa.
No, get rid of him. He hangs up.
Miles looks at his phone and contemplates just throwing the damn thing away. He almost goes to kick over a table and sides against that since it's not his place. But he's just so done with some of this stuff. And he kind of just sits, hopes they come back because they need to start making things in motion. We need to start moving because he's got a decision to make one way or another.
As Miles contemplates his decision, the other half of the coterie has finished rolling initiative.
God, fuck.
The brute, who is still in the midst of a transformation, grows in height. Horns start to manifest, kind of protruding from his skull, and he transforms into this monster. And very casually, it scoops up the two city gangrel who have lost control of themselves by the scruffs of their necks, and he shakes them and turns to Johnny. You stay right there. Sire and child need a conversation. And the frenzied gangrel start to kind of like get meek and freaked out being so casually manhandled. And that's his action for now. Next on initiative is Britta.
Britta will do something she's never done before, out of reflex, which is to pop Majesty.
What is the total of your charisma and intimidation?
8.
A subject must make a courage roll difficulty equal to the vampire's charisma plus intimidation to a max diff of 10 if he wishes to be rude or simply contrary to the vampire. Success allows the individual to act normally for the moment, although he feels the weight of the vampire's displeasure crushing down on him. The subject who fails the roll aborts his intended action and even goes to absurd lengths to humble himself before the vampire, no matter who else is watching. Under Majesty's influence, hearts break, power trembles, and the bolts shake. That is Majesty. Do you say anything?
Kind of see Britta closing her eyes, stepping forward, exuding that air and that beauty and that control, and saying, "This is not the time for a fight. Let's all just go our separate ways."
Excellent. After Britta goes, it looks like Carmen is going, who will hold her action. Neil, your turn.
Neil is unsure what to do and just completely freaked out at this point. But Johnny said he needed a Duranki sorcerer by his side. But Britta also said we should all go our separate ways. And Britta's really compelling right now. And in Neil's head, our separate ways means, well, we're a coterie, so we should go one way. And you guys are bad guys, so you should go a different way. But he's not really sure what to do. So, I mean, we're in downtown New Haven. There's like alleys and dumpsters and stuff everywhere, right?
Yes.
And Neil looks at Britta and goes, "Okay, yeah, let's leave. Let's leave. And he's going to try and make it. You said there was a lot of cloud cover and things like that right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to try and make it rain really heavy just to start, like, make it harder for them to find us if we get the hell out of here.
Okay.
6 successes.
With 6 successes, you immediately make the change to the weather, and a downpour begins.
And Neil, now soaking wet, just looks at Johnny and Britta, specifically at Britta. Okay, yeah, let's get out of here real fast. Okay, let's go. Let's go our separate ways.
Johnny,
completely awestruck, is staring at Britta, just completely taken out of the moment by the absolute majesty she's emitting. He turns to look back at his sire, points across the street. "I'll be seeing you soon." And will turn back, scoop up Britta, grab Neil by the scruff of his neck, and he will take a bounding leap, channeling his potence into his body to leap at a superhuman speed away from this scene to a nearby rooftop where he can then get away.
give me a strength plus athletics roll at difficulty 4. Every success takes you 3 yards, and then multiply that total by the effect of leaps and bounds.
Lex, you want to look at this roll for a second? Because it's absurd.
What
My
flavor?
Dude.
What flavor of absurd?
Give me that total.
I didn't roll a failure.
Oh my.
I wish I exploded on 10s, but I don't think I do because I have powerful arms and not necessarily
I mean, you're
powerful
snatching
legs.
us up. I don't
Yeah,
know
you
if
can actually work that
Oh,
into
yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Jesus.
We're not. We are literally the smallest members of the coterie.
easily the smallest.
That is 16 successes.
Okay. So multiply 16 successes by 3 for your base number of yards.
48.
Yep, 48.
Now multiply that number by the lesser of your potence and celerity.
So that would be 3.
144.
Yeah.
Holding them, you leap 144 yards.
A football field and a half.
As you bail, you kind of give this glance back to your sire, who's looking up at you and does not seem to have the impression that you're out of range. But Carmen shakes her head no at him. And frustrated, he smashes the 2 gangrel into the pavement, torpouring them, and drags them inside. The 2 frenzied gangrel, as you kind of come out of view with them, they start to kind of calm down. And with, heads low and worried that Carmen is going to punish them for their failure, they slink their way inside to speak to their ductus. And you escape.
With my 2 celerity actions, while I'm still, I guess, effectively in grapple,
Flying through the air.
I would like to use one to text Miles. Yeah, absolutely. No, I need that to be that
T9
quick.
lightning
Super
fast.
speed T9.
And where is the exact location? We're by a particular Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, you're right around Dixwell.
I text Miles a location and I say... Actually, I know these are the spot because of the...
They are definitely the Sabbat.
Explicitly.
Well,
Same place the car crash happened during our chase, too, as Dixwell, around Dixwell.
Yes, it is.
I'm just checking this is Britta's first meeting with them.
Yeah, no, they used vicissitude.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You actually do recognize those gangrel. Mm-hmm. You did fight them.
Yeah, one of them, they're going to look real close to the guy at Dreadgase. So I text Miles a location, and I say, the killing spree are here, and we're escaping. We're not ready for this.
After your celerity action, Johnny proceeds to leap again, and you go getting pulled through the air once again.
If I, quote-unquote, effectively have the other celerity action, if there's ever a point at which we land near a mortal, I will tell them to forget this.
Johnny is going to continue to use celerity actions to leap. He actually has spent for 3 celerity actions, and he will take us from rooftop to rooftop until we are well out of sight of the Dunkin' Donuts or any of the killing spree.
You will actually make it back at that speed.
It's okay. It's an effect. Just anything that she
Johnny
can...
has this kind of superhero landing on the roof.
I'm getting big the Tick vibes.
If anything, he
Underworld
actually,
for me.
if anything, he actually takes a circuitous route to hopefully conceal where we have gone.
Neil, who has no celerity actions, just gets dragged along, being pelted by raindrops at bullet speeds. Just ow, 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 ow.
It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, it sucks to go on a roller coaster when it's downpouring.
Disagree.
Yep. Well, okay.
That's what I do with my remaining ability, is just try to use my majesty as it's up to attempt to put some small cover on the masquerade if we are ever near someone who would notice.
So, unfortunately, you cannot cause someone to forget something with majesty.
Yeah, maybe more encourage them, like just comfort, it's okay, it's an effect.
Nothing to see here.
That's what I said earlier. It's just it's okay. It's an effect. It's
Just filming a movie.
lightning.
basically.
Nothing is real.
Everything is
She
permitted.
is the Asimite.
That's good
maneuver.
advice.
Nothing to see here. New.
So while the 2 of you are in Haven, kind of relaxing, kind of figuring out your next step, you're a thump up on the roof.
It's probably right
And
on the same time.
You're on the first floor.
Yeah. I probably actually get the message and be like, should we meet you somewhere? And then I'm like, Wynn, trouble!
On it!
At a normal speed, you receive the text message. We're here.
Wynn starts pounding her way up to the roof.
Oh, that's not what I meant.
You make it up to the fire escape, and from the fire escape, pursue the source of that noise.
I imagine once she gets to the fire escape, she actually sees us coming down the fire escape.
Yeah, you see them kind of cresting over the edge of the roof and starting to make their way down.
Hey, I'm glad you're back. We've got trouble.
It's one of those nights, huh?
Miles just told me that there's trouble.
Yeah. Hey guys, can we go inside? It's raining real hard.
Yeah, are you guys okay?
Britta is probably shaking now that I believe the effects of majesty, would that have been considered the end of the scene, our exit? Or is it still running? How does that work?
Majesty can still be going. It's all connected.
Then I'm not sure if it's really...
I think it's up to you at that point.
Britta's never done this. She does not know how to turn this off right now. Yeah, no, so she's just upset and very commanding about it. You can see that she's shaking her. She's still reflexively hiding the hand that you know to have the crescent moon on it. I assume, Johnny, you let go?
Mm-hmm. He places her down gently on the roof.
She mutters thank you and strides out to the edge of the roof to try to get a glimpse of whether they've been followed.
So, if I understand Majesty right, and how this interacts, especially if you have low courage on your sheet, the fact that Britta is freaking out, Neil, when he gets, dropped onto the roof when Johnny slams down here with us, just immediately turns and looks just like, hey, Britta, are you okay? Is everything okay?
Neil, can you help me check and see if they followed us?
Yeah, absolutely. And with his heightened senses still up, starts looking around just to see if anybody's following.
You take a look around, and it actually looks like Johnny was pretty successful in getting away. They didn't pursue.
Okay, I don't think they followed us.
Okay.
Who didn't follow you?
The killing spree.
What happened?
We were walking and talking, and there was this guy, I think, Johnny, that was your sire?
Johnny nods.
The two of them, they were in a Dunkin' Donuts, and the guy, Johnny's sire, he had his hand up to the window, and it was covered in blood, and he was trying to get, I think, specifically my attention, and as he pulled his hand down, he had the same tattoo as I had. I don't know if he was trying to show me or scare me, or maybe he knew that about me. I don't know. It felt like he was trying to show me, but maybe he was trying to get Johnny's attention,
And as she's stuttering and as she's explaining, she does take off her glove to show the crescent moon.
When she pauses talking, Johnny will kind of step forward. Britta, perhaps we should go downstairs and get out of the rain, if that would be all right with you.
Yeah,
You're getting soaked out here.
I just want to make sure that they can't get to us. The entire point of hiding here was for us to be safe together.
I don't see anyone following us.
I can ensure they haven't followed us if you'd like.
How?
I can stay out here and make sure they don't come anywhere near us.
No, I don't want you to be alone. Let's go in.
I can stay with Johnny.
Wynn is kind of tense as Britta's Majesty is still up, like there is another creature attempting to assert dominance over her. She is just kind of processing this. She's not having any kind of a negative reaction, so to say, but definitely, okay, this is weird. This is weird.
It is weird.
And she's just trying to carry on as normal, not wanting to show any weakness to a dominant predator.
Not wanting to notice, the wet hair in the rain. And,
Yep. Definitely not wanting to notice anything trickling anywhere. But her shoulders visibly tense, like her haunches are up.
Britta is going to walk towards the entrance back into the building and attempt to kind of indicate to everyone, that sort of jerk of the head of, get in.
Okay.
Wynn kind of pauses, like you can't tell me what to do, but ultimately follows.
Neil immediately says, thank you for telling me what to do.
Johnny follows them in as well.
I was definitely standing inside, not going to go out in the rain.
So once they head down the stairs, Britta strides over to the bar, kind of puts her hands down on it to take a moment to recollect herself. And turning, putting her back to the bar and feeling at home in her haven, her eyes kind of catch Wynn and the tension in her shoulders. And there's confusion across Britta's face before it kind of soaks in that there's still something happening and there's still reactions that Britta isn't quite used to. She realizes that no one's talking when she's talking, everyone's looking at her, and she just tries to turn off Majesty.
I was going to say, once you get settled in there, it's like, could you turn that off?
Turn what? Yeah.
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 It's going to make it hard to communicate with them.
That has no effect on Miles, does it?
No.
Miles is completely immune.
And
Child, stop that!
Child, if you persist, they're going to start thinking you're in charge. Turn it off.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
with that, Britta recollects and with putting her glove back on, takes that moment to explore how to turn off the Majesty.
With just a moment of concentration, you sort of let that power you had generate slip between your fingers and be gone.
Are you guys normal again?
No, I'm still freaked out about the killing spree.
Yeah, but I don't know how that worked on the outside.
How what worked, now what?
I'm good. Wynn is visibly more relaxed, almost immediately.
It was a hell of a thing.
All right. So you ran into the killing spree.
He had his hand against the window and he showed the tattoo. And, I interrupted you guys, I'm sorry. And, then, they looked like they were going to engage, and Neil spotted the city gangrel and everything. They were coming in and obfuscate, and
It was some quick thinking on the part of Neil. He spooked the city gangrel. And then, instead of following my lead of being stupid, Britta pulled some interesting things I've never seen her do before and told us to leave.
Hey, don't say that, okay? Because
I'm
what you were going
impressed.
to do is brave, and I just didn't...
The line between brave and stupid is whether or not you survive.
Anyways, you all made your escape.
Yeah.
And
Neil did this... Was that your magic, or you made
No.
the gangrel frenzy?
There's, Yeah, but by the way, Johnny, I don't really know a whole lot about how the Sabbat work. Why didn't they turn on each other?
There's a weird ritual Sabbat pacts use to form their bonds. It keeps them free of blood bonds. They can't be ensnared by that kind of thing. They call it the Valdery. They drink a mixture of all their bloods together, consecrated in a goblet.
Johnny, you don't have that, Vodluri bond for your sire, do you?
I never stuck around long enough to be inducted into their rituals.
Okay.
I've never partaken in the Valdery.
So at the end, Neil made them frenzy against each other, and then Johnny carried us out and got us to safety.
Well, they frenzied on the crowd.
We'll tell you more about the particulars later. Suffice to say, there might be a little bit something on the news that Dunkin' Donuts continue to be a place of danger in the city. But I think, hopefully, that's all we'll hear about it for the time being.
Why are
Well-
they targeting fucking Dunkin' Donuts?
Hang on, this might be a masquerade breach. I mean, they were ripping into the crowd and the jumping and...
I will be handling that in a minute.
Okay.
We got people to handle most of this. I mean, we've already got them in gear, so I just have to direct them.
Neil, while people are talking, sort of thinks and pats his pockets and then pulls his phone out and goes, well, I mean, on the plus side. And he flips it over to the picture of the Sabbat.
No.
No.
You flip it over to a picture of the Bruja.
Of the Bruja.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Sombra does not appear.
So Neil flips open the photo like he's going to show something triumphantly and then looks at it way longer and is curious like, well, still him anyways. We got a decent way to track him now.
Johnny, did you know if your sire was, like me?
I've always known that he's had that same tattoo.
But do you think he was...
Britta kind of stops and realizes that she hasn't caught the coterie up on the rooftop conversation she's been having.
Did he ever say anything about, chatterlings?
No. I do know that everyone only referred to him as the Black Hand. I thought that was his name. But it seems now that there might actually be a greater organization that goes by that title.
I think the Black Hand... When I met with Primogen Nix to ask her more about me, she told me some words and some... The Black Hand are also known as the Tamahira. They have that same tattoo that I have. And that I was... Before I died, that I was something called a chatterling.
Well, as far as I know, the Sabbat is full of all kinds of secret societies, just like the Camarilla. If this Tamahira, Black Hand, whatever they call themselves, is where you came from... And we just need to figure out if there's any bonds that they've held on to control you and break those.
He was showing me, or us. I don't know which one it is, and I don't know what that means if he knows what I am.
Britta, the Sabbat kidnap people and induct them against their will. It's what they do. Just because you were abducted and tattooed with their symbol doesn't mean that you're Sabbat, Black Hand, or Tamahira. It means that you're a victim just like I was.
Britta kind of stands down in her posture, sort of looks to Johnny, and nods slowly, trying to take, even though she doesn't need it, the deep breath seems to steady her.
Thank you. And it just, seeing that, you must have had a lot of feelings about it too. Seeing your sire again.
It's a confrontation that's been a long time coming. Don't worry yourself about it. Johnny turns over to Wynn and Miles. The two of you things get everything worked out?
Indeed. Sounds like Raven has a problem with the demon. And while she doesn't know which one of us is containing it, she may or may not try to kill one or all of us at some point or another if she feels the demon is out of control.
You want me to tell her it's me?
No.
Not particularly.
Okay.
Would she accept that the demon would be gone in 30 days, or would that just make things...
She's off to hunt Arabelle Rowlands, and I suspect when she comes back, she's going to want the situation dealt with. She charged me with dealing with it, so I suspect if I don't, my life is forfeit anyway.
Is there something that we can do to repair those rings at the chantry, or get
They were repaired. Arabella repaired them.
Was working on it.
Okay.
Well, it's... How much time is left before it's gone? A couple of weeks? And then, so long as she doesn't come back with a couple of weeks, and she's an old kindred, so it'll probably, she's patient. It'll be a little bit before she comes back. And then so long as, Miles doesn't do anything stupid in the next couple of weeks, then it's problem solved.
Unless she comes back and decides to just start offing us until one of us confesses.
But she can see that, right? And
I have no idea. I have no idea if she can see or not see.
I mean, I can see it. She must be able to see it. She's an elder.
I'm sorry, what does it look like?
Well, I mean, I don't mean with you. I mean, if someone has sold their soul to a demon, at the green flag, it's the same as Arabella and Nostramir.
Right, well, what does mine look like? Because I haven't made a soul.
I haven't looked. I don't make it a practice to look at you guys like that.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should look at him.
Maybe it'll look different.
Can you check for him in Miles' aura?
I mean, I can look. I don't know if it's better if I can see it or not.
I want to know what others will see if they look at us. We already have so much going on at court with... And Britta looks down as she continues. Them thinking me and Johnny have so much to do with the Sabbat and all, and everything with you.
I contacted my sire.
What'd he say?
I guess the question is, how much do you want to know?
I mean, I feel like, at least amongst us, this is not a great time to keep things to ourselves. Unless you think otherwise. But...
All right.
Do we want to play telephone?
No, it's going to be a lot.
Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the classic world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Bruja was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Ventru was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode was edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was January Grunge Love Fest by Technoaxe. Visit them online at technoaxe.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition rule set of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade is owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at Path of Night Pod, on Facebook at facebook.com/Path of Night Podcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcast@gmail.com. See you next time, kindred.
We want to let our listeners know that our storyteller Lex made an appearance on The Fourth Leg, which is a podcast giving GMs a fourth leg to stand on. It's about tips and advice for GMs and players about world building and story crafting. This episode focuses on imagery and narrative voice, so please go check their podcasts out. You can listen to the Fourth Leg podcast on Spotify.
If you would like to support the Path of Night podcast and the crew in our projects, we currently accept contributions to coffee.com/Path of Night. And thank you for listening.
I wish there was a better way to say that, because I feel like that really...
Duncan.
Duncan.
So dramatic when it's happening at a Dunkin' Donuts.
Which New Haven apparently has 70 of.
I mean, yes, particularly in the 90s.
Yeah, there's less now.
There's less.
The two Sabbat members in the coffee shop.